my shoes and out the door. 5, I'm alive. 6, 7, 8, feeling great. 9, gonna shine, life is good. I'm doing fine. 10, gonna do it right and do it again, yeah. I look into the sky with all the beautiful color, but there's more than just for me, so gonna share it with another. I got to show, to give, let out. I want to sing and shout. Take a look and see a beautiful morning.
Been in here and people are roaring with laughter, so.
It's a dirty show, though.
Well, it's clean dirt.
You have here the best of the best.
Yes.
So we have many celebrities here. The Holly Madison come over here, and the Usher come over here many often, and the Paris Hilton come here.
Boy, I'm dating myself, but it's okay. Nobody else will. Oh.
That's so Vegas.
As a mother, you don't want to have to worry about this bill is coming, but then she needs this chemo. That's a decision you shouldn't have to make.
At St. Jude, a family never sees a bill at all, not one bill. It's like the world has been lifted off of your shoulders.
The treatment doesn't get any better than what you receive at St. Jude. It saved my life. It saved my daughter's life. It saved our family.
Welcome to That's So Vegas TV. I'm your host, Christine McKellar. I'm here in the fantastic, fabulous downtown Las Vegas area, in the fantastic and fabulous Las Vegas Arts District. And I feel like $1 million because sitting here with me is none other than the most fabulous Martin Kaye. And Martin, you have a wonderful history here in Las Vegas. You've been with the $1 Million Dollar Quartet.
That's right, yeah.
And also on Broadway.
I wasn't on the Broadway show,
Okay.
but I was on the tour, the US tour.
Oh, that's right.
Which
the
was just
tour.
after Broadway, yeah.
Sometimes I get my facts kind of
It's all
ahead
right.
of my figures.
I wish I was on Broadway.
I know, but it's not over till it's over,
not
right?
over.
So I was always curious when I see somebody with your immeasurable talent. I mean, you're a comedian. A lot of comedy in your bones.
Absolutely.
You play the piano better than Jerry Lee Lewis. Upside down,
Stop
backwards. With your feet and Lord knows what else. And you sing. You just have so much going on. What were you like as a child?
Pretty much like that.
Oh.
Just a ball of energy. I mean, my parents, I remember actually very, very early on. I don't remember this, obviously, because I was just a baby. But I was a screamer. I was a crier and a screamer when I was a baby. So my parents put me at the end of the garden in my pram just to cry because they couldn't stop me from crying. And that was very early on. So that was pretty much me from the very beginning, always wanting attention.
Yeah.
Always kind of just
vocalizing,
yes,
yeah.
absolutely.
Were you an only child?
No, actually, I've got an older brother, 2 years older.
And he wasn't a screamer?
No, he was a thrower-upper.
Oh, your parents had their hands full.
Oh, they did, absolutely.
I'm not sure which, as a parent myself, I'd want to pick maybe half of this and half of the other.
Probably, yeah. I mean, I know I was a handful. I mean, I know that they got a lot of joy watching me as growing up, doing shows and doing all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I was definitely a handful.
So you were pretty young when you showed your first interest, and it was in the piano. Is that correct?
Actually, my first kind of exposure to performance was when I was 3, and my grandma took me to a singing teacher when I was 3 years old.
Interesting.
My grandma is also a performer. In fact, a lot of my family are performers in music. So my grandma took me to a singing teacher, and then my dad is a piano player. So me and my brother and I.
However.
Have to.
Jolly well.
Grammatically correct, darling. We both started taking piano lessons at 6.
That's young.
And so I kind of went on and kept going with it. My brother kind of faded away on it, but yeah, so.
So you have a little bit of a genetic background there with the music
Absolutely.
and the talent. Where'd the humor come from?
I don't know I think some people would agree that it's not humor, it's just idiocy or clowning around, but either way, I'll take it. I mean, to be honest, it's not intentional humor, it's just having fun with an audience or whatever it is, and stuff just seems to come out my mouth, and if they laugh, they laugh. If they don't, well, whatever.
Oh, well, move on to the next, right?
Absolutely.
You do a really killer, speaking of which, and I mentioned him, Jerry Lee Lewis. And now that's a Yank, American rock. And you're from, obviously, London. You said
Manchester,
or
from.
Manchester, earlier.
Yeah.
So where did you get the influence? How did you decide, where did Jerry Lee Lewis come from?
Well, my dad, like I said, played the piano, and something that my dad played all the time was a boogie-woogie thing.
I love boogie-woogie.
Right. So I was exposed to that very early on, and I was like, oh, I want to do that. So it wasn't necessarily that I was into Jerry Lee Lewis itself, but I was into boogie woogie music a little bit. And then my natural progression of where I was taken in my career, I ended up in New York, and I got an audition for Million Dollar Quartet for the tour.
Wow.
And so I went to see it when it was on Broadway at the time, and I saw the Jerry Lee Lewis character, and I was like, yeah, I'd like to do that.
So you just felt compelled. It was like
100%.
And that's what you auditioned for then, or was it a
Yes.
broad open? It was
no,
an
it
open
was
audition?
my agent brought me in to audition for that role, obviously with the piano playing thing. And the wonderful thing about that show as well is that it's all live. So I was going to be able to play the piano, really play the piano, and sing and act and just clown around. So it was the perfect role. I mean, you know, I felt like I was born to play it, and that was like over 5 years ago.
Time flies, doesn't it?
Time does fly.
I know, that's scary. So, you know, hypothetically speaking, obviously that was a great big break for you, right? Massive. And how do you think that changed your life? I mean, you obviously were busy, like you said. You'd been, performing your whole life in England, in Great Britain. And that just totally must have turned your life into a whole new, spun it out into some...
I can't even describe how big of a break that was for me. Because, I mean, before that, I'd been working on cruise ships, doing it in the piano bar. Did that for 4 years.
I thought you looked familiar. I did the author thing on Princess Cruises. I went on 4...
I did Princess.
We'll have to talk after the show.
Yeah, absolutely. So I did ships for 4 years, and I was loving it, and I definitely developed musically a lot, but I felt like I plateaued and I wasn't really moving forward in my career. And then I got this audition, and then, I mean, I started on the tour. I did a year and 3 months on the US tour. We did 35 cities, and then they opened the show, or they were telling me that they were going to open the show in Vegas. So I was like, sign me up. I want to be a part of that.
Right.
And so moved to Vegas, and that was 4 years ago. So, and then I've been here ever since doing that. So what it's brought me in terms of opportunities, people I've met, cities I've seen, places I've seen, I mean, it's just unbelievable. I can't even really put it into words, and there's so much to put into words, really. But I really think the best thing to say is that I'm just so grateful that I've got the opportunity and had the opportunities to do what I've done and where I've been because of Million Dollar Quartet. MDQ.
You must have had a great agent or someone to get you into that.
Great agent, fantastic agent, and just had a great support system around me. My parents have always been so supportive. And there were hard times because I was away from my friends in the UK, because I was over here or I was on ships. So I was always away from them, and it was hard not to see them all the time because I was so used to seeing them all the time, but they all understood and were so supportive. And it's been an incredible ride.
Well, I'm glad that
so
Las
far.
Vegas has been so good to you, you know, and the whole thing with the tour, and obviously you've enjoyed your time here. I know you'd mentioned that you're planning on moving back to the UK.
I am. Well, I was just in the UK for 4.5 months on the UK tour of Million Dollar Quartet.
Right.
So I took a break from the Vegas show, went over to the UK and did that, and that was another experience in itself because, I mean, having done the show for so long with one company here, and then going out and doing it with a whole new company, who were all amazing.
And it's interesting. I just have a feeling that the audiences are so different. I had a guest on who is from the UK, a comedian, and we were talking about the difference just in the humor between Yanks and the Brits, you know. So I'm sure you probably have to do some modification to your show because of the audience that you're appealing to.
The show Million Dollar Quartet itself is scripted, so you can't change the script. But I was curious to know how the audiences were going to react. The UK audiences were going to react because. The American audiences, obviously there's American references in the show and therefore they can connect with those, whereas the UK audiences, I was wondering if they would be able to relate to them, but the audiences were incredible.
I have to give a quick shout out to my sponsor, which is the Red Roof Inn on Paradise Road across from the Hard Rock. They're pet friendly, folks. Do not go away. Well, hey there. Welcome to That's So Vegas. This is our new studio in the famous Las Vegas Arts District, downtown Las Vegas. We're here to rock your world. And I was going to ask you how it felt to be breaking good here at the Bellagio for the National Center.
What you did.
Your last CD was My Secret Life. I wanted to ask you what your secrets were. A high five to CR Realty Services, who opened the door for That's So Vegas here in the famous Las Vegas Arts District. Tune in and turn on with us in downtown Las Vegas. This is where the action is, and That's So Vegas. Well, welcome back to That's So Vegas.
I don't really know how this came about. This was just, I guess, it's my way of being rebellious without hurting anyone.
Oh, nice. Thank you.
I suppose.
Yeah.
I mean, and people say, why do you wear odd socks? And I say, why not? Because people are always, they grow up wearing black socks, grey socks, and they always match and stuff, which is fine. That's
Right.
okay.
Yeah.
But then, I just do it differently.
So when did you start doing that?
I don't know, long time ago. And to be honest, the way it kind of became more apparent into the public eye was when I was on the ships and I would get up on top of the piano and start dancing on top of the piano. But I didn't want to damage the piano with my shoes, so I'd take my shoes off, and then my socks were revealed, and people always started commenting on the socks. So then it just kind of became a thing.
And I think I really like it because, as we all know, there's some entity somewhere that eats your socks when you come out of the dryer. You never have one that match,
Yeah,
right? Where do
exactly.
they go? I'm still hunting down certain socks.
It doesn't
but
matter anymore.
They're gone. Now, and I like your color. It must save you a lot of time, too, if you get up in the morning because
Absolutely.
you don't have to worry about if your socks match or not.
Absolutely. I literally have a massive pile of socks, and I just open up the drawer, pull out any two, doesn't matter, put them on. There used to be some method to my madness. I used to either color coordinate, they'd be the same style but different colors, or they'd be the same color but different style. But
Right.
now I'm just like, well, it
Nah,
doesn't really
just
matter.
let it ride, as we
Exactly.
say in
And these
Las
are little
Vegas.
ghetto blasters, I think.
Oh, those are so cute.
Boom boxes, I think you
Yes.
call them. Yeah.
Oh, they're adorable. I love them. I may have to pick up this trend. I think I could really like that.
Absolutely.
You also, speaking of odd socks, you are working on a production called
I am.
Odd Socks, oddly.
Yes, and it's an autobiographical show that has just come about from my being in Vegas. Basically, I moved to Vegas with Million Dollar Quartet, but I always had in my mind this would be a great opportunity to work on my own show and write my own show. So, I mean, I've been working on it for 4 years. It still needs a little bit of tweaking, and it's not necessarily ready to go yet, but it's an autobiographical piece, as I said, taking people on a whimsical journey through my musical adventures.
I like whimsy.
I love whimsy.
I really
love
do.
whimsy.
Obviously, yes. And it's such a great word, whimsical whimsy.
Whimsical.
And how many performers would you need for this type of production? Is it simply you and your different vignettes of you, or?
Yeah, it is. Basically, it is kind of like that. But it's I'd have a 10-piece band behind me, and bring up a couple performers to play with me. My song, one of my very, very good friends, Jelana Sampson, who is my one of my co-writers here in Vegas that I met here. We write a lot of songs together, so I'd bring her up and do a couple songs. But yeah, it's just literally, it's kind of little vignettes, and it's little bits of each stage of my life. It's
Would you take the whole kit and caboodle back to Manchester with you? Obviously,
Yeah.
to finish the production?
Absolutely, I'd love to. I mean, it's obviously about getting some money behind it to put it up, and that's obviously always the issue. So if money was no object, I'd be doing it right now. So any investors out there?
Oh, send me some sponsors while you got it.
Yes, exactly.
We're right here in the Arts District. After the show, we should go around with a sign or something.
Well,
We're looking
actually,
for-
so I did my first showcase of Odd Socks just down the street at Art Square Theatre.
Fabulous.
So I did that a year and a half ago. Did a couple nights of it, and it was received very well. Just from that, then I did that as a showcase, but from that I was able to then make some tweaks and stuff.
Great venue.
Great.
This whole
venue.
area. We had the
I love
mayor.
the Arts District.
Mayor Goodman was our guest last week.
Fantastic.
Actually, you'll be able to watch her show. It went up on Thursday of last week is when we
Cool.
were distributing it. And boy, was she a lot of fun. We had a
Nice.
blast with her. I love that woman. I do want to mention that, and we will mention it again, and there'll be contact info in the next segment, our last segment, but you're going to be doing a show at the newly opened The Space.
Correct, yeah.
And it's a one night only.
It is.
And you mentioned this is kind of your farewell show for Vegas. Is that right?
Yes, so big changes in my life recently, and like I said, I just came back from the UK from doing this tour, really reconnected back with my friends and family back there, and now that Million Dollar Quartet is no longer in Vegas, I thought this would be a great opportunity to go back and explore what is over there, and I made some contacts while I was out there. So,
We're
I
gonna
am.
miss you.
Well, it's been, like I say, it's been an amazing time in Las Vegas, and I can't really get my head around the fact that I'm leaving. But it's I'll be leaving in a month, so I'm doing this show on the 8th of March to kind of say thank you. Really, it's not going to be anything but it's just a thank you to Vegas, and I'm going to be bringing up a load of different friends that I've met since being here to come and sing with me and play with me. and
And
should be a
it's
lot
free,
of fun. And it's
right?
free, absolutely.
That's
yeah.
really a very gracious thank you coming from you.
Well,
and
again, it's
the
just
producers.
about showing my gratitude to this town, which has been so wonderful to me. And it's not about making money off it. It's just about putting something on for everyone to come and enjoy, have fun, and for me to have fun too, one last time.
Right. I think that's going to be quite a special show, and I'm certain I'm going to catch that, and so will my staff. They'd be happy
I
to
hope
come
so.
with me. Well, I'm going to have to take a commercial break here in just a minute, though. And I wanted to talk a little bit about, and we'll probably have to break and come back to it, but what your musical influences were. I know I was
Right.
kind of teasing you because you are British, and my musical influences were like The Clash and T-Rex, and I don't know why I got that little bit of a vibe when I was listening to one of your clips, but obviously I was wrong because you have others like Elton John and Michael Jackson. But I'm going to give a quick shout out to the Red Roof Inn, my sponsor, my one sponsor.
Nice.
And we'll be back in just a few minutes with a little more information about Martin. And don't forget, the Red Roof Inn is pet friendly. They have free Wi-Fi, continental breakfast for guests, right across from the Hard Rock Hotel. How can you beat it? We'll be right back.
It's pretty amazing when you consider that 7 years ago, we didn't have the treatments we have now. We cure 80% of children with cancer. If you think about that, I mean, go back 50 years, we were curing 20 to 30%. This is the miracle story of modern medicine. We understand what makes this cancer tick. And of course, without donors from around the world, this just couldn't happen. And there's one thing we're focused on here at St. Jude, and that's beating this thing.
Welcome back to That's So Vegas. I'm Christina Keller, your host here in the fabulous Las Vegas Arts District. I'm here with Martin, Kaye. We're having a ball. Really, it's so nice to hear about your odd socks. And you were the, I want to say $1 billion, but $1 Million Dollar
Oh, you can
Quartet.
say whatever you like.
Billion, million, zillion. It was a great show. People loved it. I've
Yes.
loved it 5 years here in Vegas. We hate to see you go. I know you're pursuing other dreams and you're going to move back to Manchester, England. And we've talked about your production, oddly called Odd Socks. Love the Odd Socks. As a matter of fact, I just may start imitating you on that.
Please do. I love to influence.
It would make life easier. And I wouldn't have to worry about all those other socks the dryer ate or whatever.
Absolutely not. It does make life easier, I'll tell you that.
I know. I just love the idea of a whole drawer full of colorful socks, and
Yeah.
who cares? So we were talking about some of your musical influences. They weren't the ones I thought of, but you, well, of course, Elton John,
Yeah.
who's totally adopted Vegas.
Yeah.
Michael Jackson. Love still hurts, still hurts.
May his perfect soul rest in peace.
Always. And one of my recent guests actually had met him. And it's kind of, when he started talking about that, I actually got teary, which is because I get emotional about things like that. But
Yeah.
you had mentioned somebody else I'd never heard of, Jamie Cullum.
Yes, he's
And-
also a British piano player, jazz. He's mostly his thing is jazz. He didn't quite. He's not quite made it over here in the States. He's been going for a while. He actually wrote this song called "All at Sea," which I think some people in America do know that song. So
Could you hum a bar?
It goes, I'm all at sea, where no one can bother me. It's a gorgeous song that he wrote, and he wrote it actually when he was working on ships. He used to work on ships too.
And I'm a sailor.
Right, oh, there you go.
Literally, I crewed on sailboats for years. So,
Lovely.
yeah,
So you'd
back
love
when I
it.
was younger.
Then you would totally relate to this song.
You bet I would. And can I get it on YouTube?
Yeah, it's everywhere. It's everywhere.
I'll be all over that. So he was a big influence.
High energy player like me, and I just watched him and I'm like, wow, yeah, that's someone I really relate to. The Michael Jackson thing is, I wouldn't necessarily say he influenced me from a musical, or really from, I don't say he influences my music the way I write, but or perform, but I think the thing about Michael Jackson is just, well, firstly, I grew up listening to him. The album Bad was the first album, one of the first albums I ever listened to. But I think it's just about the passion, the level of talent, the level of energy, the level of the timelessness of his music. I mean, how can you not love Michael Jackson, really?
I don't know. You'd have to be soul dead or you're dead
Absolutely.
of the soul or something. It just... And
It just blows your mind to watch him,
Right.
and you're just mesmerized. It's mesmerizing.
Yeah.
And then Elton John is, I mean, I grew up literally listening to Elton John all the time. My dad played Elton John. We had the Elton John sheet music on the piano.
Right.
That was the first music I ever really learned to play on the piano was Elton John after I learned classical music. So, Yeah, Elton John has been with me, and
Have you met him since you've been here?
No, and he's just across the street. So we were in Million Dollar Quartet at Harrah's. Across the street, Elton John was doing the $1 Million piano. Come on, there had to be but I never got to meet him yet.
Right. It's never over till it's over.
Correct.
And a lot of it could have been timing because you were performing whilst, that's British,
Nice.
whilst he was performing. I had to throw that out there because I don't want to start with
Absolutely.
my fake British accent.
Do you think?
You know? And your accent's delightful, of course.
Thank
And
you, I made it myself.
You're
I'm working on it.
adorable. I know guys don't really like that word, but women, when they say it, they mean it.
I'll take adorable.
Okay, you're adorable and delightful. and even at your age, and I'm not going to ask you how old you are, it doesn't matter, but you've toured the world, like you said, on the Princess Cruises.
Yep.
You've played some pretty prestigious arenas in London.
Yep.
Queen's Hall, or what is it for viewers who are...
The one the most recently I played at was the Royal Festival Hall.
Royal Festival
With
Hall.
Million Dollar Quartet on the UK tour.
Oh, lovely.
That was, I mean, people like Oscar Peterson have played on that stage. I mean, that's just one name of many that have played on that stage. And Oscar Peterson is an idol of mine too, from the jazz piano point of view, boogie woogie. So, yeah, what a stage to play on. And for American viewers, I suppose it's the equivalent of like Carnegie Hall in New York. That's how prestigious a venue it is. So to have that opportunity was unbelievable.
Oh, goodness. You're just cranking them out left and right. And then it's so kind of you. Again, I want to reiterate, you're having the free show March 8th at the Space, which is like a thank you to what has been your home here in Las Vegas for the past 5 years. But
Absolutely.
You also were nominated for a Helen Hayes Award.
Yes, which at the time, that was for when I was on the US tour
Uh-huh.
of Million Dollar Quartet. And
Right.
I mean, I didn't know anything about the Helen Hayes Awards. When people told me that, when I got the notification, and I told my friends in the show, and they were like, that's a big deal. And I was like, Is it? So, I mean, very honoured to get the nomination. I went to the award ceremony, didn't win, but it was just wonderful to be nominated and just to be there and to be a part of something like that and to be recognised, I suppose.
Well, I would imagine.
It was wonderful,
right.
really.
They just don't pick anybody for things like that.
Well, I feel very grateful. Again, these are the opportunities that I've been that I've come across because of MDQ, and very grateful.
Oh boy, again, and it's just, I could just see in your eyes what a wonderful time you've had. So let me ask you this. Based on all of this, and of course you're going home for a new venture, an adventure, is there anything on your bucket list that isn't relative to, say, producing a show or something that you've already done? Is there something that you really, really want to do and maybe in the future? I don't know, safari or...
Well, I've always wanted to go to Australia. I've never been to Australia.
I've been, I love it.
Yeah, I've got friends that live there, and I've got I've obviously heard how wonderful it is. I would love to go there.
Absolutely. You fit right in, by the way.
Oh, yeah?
I have friends down there as well. Yeah, you do.
I mean, I think I very much enjoy the lifestyle. I've been to a lot of places. I really do want to go to South America as well. I feel like travel is a very important thing that we as humans need to do because there is so much to see in this world and so little time really to see everything.
And to sample cultures. It gives you a broader look and, right. Yeah, I've traveled a lot too. We were talking on a break. I have 2 continents, I think, left or 3 or something. So that's a bucket list for me. Do you ever want to go skydiving or anything?
I went skydiving for my 30th birthday.
That's done.
So that was
How
cool.
was it?
Amazing. I would definitely want to do it again.
Okay.
Bungee jumping, I'm not sure if I'd want to do that just because that's literally like...
It's weird.
I don't know if I would do that.
And diving. Have you done scuba diving?
I have done scuba diving. Trying to think if there's anything else. I'm sure there's loads of things.
Okay, I know,
I just haven't really, I need to put down a list and make a proper list, I suppose.
So again, the bucket list, I know everybody knows where that came from, the movie. And
Right.
Yeah,
Well, and I will say that one of the biggest, which we've kind of mentioned, one of the biggest things that a massive goal of mine is to meet Elton John, but also play with him. To be able to duet with Elton John is a massive dream of mine.
Oh, well,
I actually have a picture that I photoshopped myself into that I have just to look at, just to be like, that's vision board.
That's really sweet. If any way, how, or manner I could ever help you with that, I'll contact you in Manchester.
Please. Yeah, we'll have
I bet
your
you'd
people
hop
speak
on
to
a
my
jet
people.
plane, wouldn't you? You'd be on a plane in a heartbeat.
I would literally, would not take me long.
I met him also on the tennis thing I was telling you about, but
Wow.
that was one of my stories, and we're talking about you. I would like to know, because again, and you have such a great, all this energy and everything, and this great vibe coming from you. What do you think is your trait in your personality that helped you or propelled you to get on that path where you did end up with Million Dollar Quartet and now your own production?
I think really I just love to be on stage, and I love to everything I've ever done on stage has been high energy, and I think the most common question I get after a performance is, where do you get your energy?
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So I think energy is probably the word to maybe
Okay.
put on that, energy or passion, I guess. But I mean,
Passion.
it's just a love of it, and
Right.
I can't see myself doing anything else than what I do.
I love that. That's really, that's probably why you're where you're at. You're so
Yeah.
focused on that.
Yeah.
We've run out of time, which always happens when I have a guest. Maybe I'll have to go to an hour show. I don't know. But a shout out to the Red Roof Inn. And also I want to remind everybody that you get to see this passion and have a lot of fun on March 8th at the Space. Take care. And until next week, I'm your host, Christina Keller with That's So Vegas.
1, 2, 3, 4, get my shoes and out the door. 5, I'm alive. 6, 7, 8, feeling great. 9, gonna shine, life is good. I'm doing fine. 10, gonna do it right and do it again, yeah.